Okay, the mics are on. We are streaming to YouTube. Ready when you are, Mayor McClure.
I'll call this meeting of the Seward City Council to order. It's Monday, December 15th, 2025, 7 p.m. Chief, would you please lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Roll call for tonight's meeting. Draper? Here. Osenga? Here. Kreitz?
Here.
Calhoun? Here. Barnwell? Here. Warner?
Here.
And Mayor McClure.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Okay. We have a couple of recognitions tonight for former city council members. First, we got Kevin Finch. Kevin, I didn't see where you're sitting.
All right.
Come on up. I knew you were here. Kevin was member of city council, and this is presented to you for excellent leadership and dedicated service on the city council, serving the people of Seward from October 2022 to October 2025. And thank you, Kevin. It was great having you.
Thank you.
That's work.
Yeah. Jason. I'm not going to forget it. John caught me out of rhythm.
That's what I'm here for.
And Kevin, if you want this.
No speech, right?
No.
I would like to say it was an honor to serve the community of Seward. I served my country, served my state, and I got to serve my community. To the 2,200 people that are part of the backbone of this town, that work and have business here, that live outside the city limits, your voice matters, your input matters. Come and put it in. Okay? This council needs to hear the whole town, not just the city limits. And I challenge the council to listen to the year-round locals over tourism.
Kevin is very consistent, though. And Randy, wherever you are out in the masses, Randy is out in the hallway too. Okay, Randy Wells. Similarly, come on up. And this is for Randy Wells for excellent leadership and dedicated service on the city council, serving the people of Seward from November 2021 to October 2025. And thank you very much for your service, Randy.
All I can say is that the amount I thought I knew about being a council member and how city government worked prior to being elected, appointed and then elected, drastically changed. And for the new council members, as I said in the past, this is an amazing opportunity for education, and I guarantee you will learn more than you thought possible, and I'm so grateful for the education. Thank you.
All right. Next, we have citizen comments on any subject except items for public hearing. There are no public hearing items, so you can speak to anything. You'll have 3 minutes, but there's a total of 36 minutes allowed. So my suggestion is if there's a group of you that might have the same opinions, you might get together and we could see even shows of hands or something of agreement. But 36 minutes. When you there's a sign-up sheet, so we'll go through that and then call on people with shows of hands. When you come up, you sit in the chair right there, and you'll need to say your name and if you live inside or outside the city limits. The time doesn't start till I stop talking, so don't worry. So, Mr. Clerk, who do we have?
There are 12 people signed in to speak. First on the list is Andrew Scrivo.
Okay.
Hold your phone.
All right. Yeah, Andrew Scrivo, I live in Seward city limits. supposed to say that? Okay. Any other directions?
Nope.
Okay. I'm here to speak a little bit in favor of this resolution 122. It's the one on education that we're going to talk about a little bit later. And really what it is, it directs the city to support educational opportunities which are enhanced by Seward's physical geography and economic activities. That's a really fancy way of saying that we believe that the high school diploma from Seward High School should be reflective of the strengths of our community. And I feel like right now they're not, because there's a lot of funding situations and staffing situations and a lot of our hands are tied situations. The other thing I'd like to point out is that there's a lot of people in this community that are operating off old information when it comes to opportunities and partnerships and things that we used to have or things that have come and gone. And we have a really big issue with the lack of stability when it comes to educational opportunities and lack of sustainability as well, where we'll have teachers and with their jobs getting dangled in front of them at the end of the year, and then something goes away, but the Band-Aid is to give you a half-time this teacher, and things are coming and going all the time. It's such a pace that no one can possibly keep up unless they're literally in the buildings all the time. We have administration and staff in all of our buildings that are doing the very best that they can, with what they've got, but with shrinking funding and staff numbers in every building, and especially when it comes to tapping into some of those community strengths. I want to make sure you know that it is nobody's job anymore. So the person that used to do community connection work and arrange things like on-the-job training or student internships, right, and maybe reach out and have a little bit of time in the day to be contacting community organizations with words like education and outreach in their budgets, that person no longer exists. Okay, we have a counselor that's cut in half between two buildings. We have a principal that's cut in half between two buildings, and so it's nobody's job. It's nobody's job. And things are just falling through the cracks right and left, and the opportunities that we do have are not equitable because we don't have the forethought and the formalized systems in place to make these opportunities open to all kids. For instance, I'm really excited about this. Next semester we have 2 kids that are going to get to weld through an AvTech program. It's like 2 kids. How are they going to be selected? Well, it's the 2 kids that signed up to do it last year when it fell through and didn't happen. But how are we going to select the next ones, I'm not sure. Anyway, I just want you guys to know it's really important, and I think as a community we need to circle the right wagons around our kids, and that our kids should be proud, and have diplomas that are reflective of the strengths of our community. And I think you guys can do a long way towards that.
Thank you.
Bingo.
Mr. Clerk, who's next?
Joan McLean.
Hi, I'm Joanne McLean, and I live outside of town. I am the owner and operator of Josie's Kids Daycare, and I am here today to talk about the resolution. I don't know if it's a resolution. What is it? Resolution 2025-121. And I have to read it. So, I wrote something out and I'd like to read it. So, thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today about an issue that sits very true to my heart and the heart of our community's present and future, which is childcare. As stewards of economic development and long-term planning, we are entrusted with the responsibility to lay the foundation for a thriving, resilient, and inclusive society. At the core of this foundation lies the critical component of accessible, high-quality child care. Child care is not merely a service for working families. It's a catalyst for economic growth, workforce participation, and community well-being. When families have access to reliable childcare, parents, especially mothers, are empowered to pursue employment, education, and career advancement. This in turn boosts the household incomes, reduces our poverty rates, and expands our local talent pool. Investing in childcare is an investment in our workforce. Businesses benefit from a larger, more diverse, and more stable pool of employees. Absenteeism declines, productivity raises, and businesses can attract and retain talent more effectively. In a rapidly changing economy, these advantages are essential for maintaining a competitive edge and attracting new investments to our community. Moreover, high-quality childcare supports a healthy development of our youngest citizens. Early childhood is a critical period for cognitive, social, and emotional growth. Children who have access to nurturing, enriching care are better prepared to succeed in school and in life. This not only improves individual prospects, but it also enhances collective future of our community. Josie's Kids Daycare and Coast to Coast Kids Care are the only two licensed daycares full-time in this community. Each of us can take 12 kids a day at a time. There are 2 part-time preschool centers as well that are licensed in this community. They're open several days a week for several hours, but they're not full-time. Essentially, the only options for families who have young children The only option for families who have young children are to have a parent stay home or for us to have a space in our licensed home for them.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, who's next?
Kirsty William.
Hi, my name's Kirsty Willeen, and I live outside city limits. And like my predecessors earlier, I'm going to read to you tonight too. Just kind of a little background. I am a retired teacher from Seward Elementary. I had 25 years of classroom experience, and so I'll just start with a little story, and hopefully you guys will understand where this is going. So 36 years ago, landing a job in what was then the most desirable place to teach and to live in Alaska, I was beyond grateful for being selected as an elementary position here. I soon realized why the selection process has been so demanding. The expectations for high-quality educators and learner outcomes steeped in rigor, creativity, teamwork, and administrative support meant that Seward Elementary was recognized as an excellent source of education across this state. We were a staff that worked hard and worked incredibly well together. The students were our reason for being there, and they were actively engaged both in the school setting and within the community. We regularly collaborated with businesses, agencies, and individuals in town to deepen each child's learning opportunities and their connections to our community. Something's gone seriously awry since that time. We can either waste time wondering at the causes, or we can simply admit we have a problem and commit to fixing it. Seward teachers are some of the finest in the state still, but they're grossly hobbled by the very broken system they're working in, a system that's continuously underfunded and needs the support of all of us. The youth in Seward deserve a far better and broader education than they're currently getting. Our learners need to be the priority for all of us in this community. We have the opportunity to reimagine and recreate Seward as a community where families and educators want to live year-round and want their children to attend our schools. So I would appreciate it that you would take consideration of Resolution 225-122. It seems to align completely in several areas with Seward's 2030 comprehensive plan. And as a city council, you also represent our youth and their potential for the future. It's time that together we, as a community, create schools that provide our learners a richly connected educational program that meets the needs of our youth and the future of this community. I'm asking you to take the first step in making Seward once again the place of recognized excellence in education by voting yes on this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk?
Elzernia.
Good evening, City Council members. My name is Elzernia, and although I live outside of city limits, my husband and I operate 4 harbor businesses within the City of Seward. I'm here tonight to ask you to complete a process that is already well underway. Last January, this council received recommendations from Planning and Zoning Commission to update city codes related to cannabis business. These recommendations were made because Seward currently relies on state regulations rather than locally adopted code, and the Planning and Zoning Commission voted unanimously in favor of the proposed changes they gave you. These recommendations were not developed in isolation. Community members on both sides of this issue participated in work sessions, and the proposed updates align with the results of the current comprehensive study that will guide our future planning. This survey clearly shows that increased cannabis services are not something the community wants to see. Despite this work and public input and a clear recommendation, these updates have remained unfinished. The State Regulatory Commission, AMCO, the Alcohol and Marijuana Board, has been very clear that it wants local communities to decide how businesses operate within their borders. While the state sets minimum standards, municipalities and communities are empowered and actually encouraged to adopt stricter local regulations when it reflects the will of their citizens. Across Alaska, many communities have acted decisively. Numerous villages have opted out of retail cannabis entirely, while Anchorage has gone beyond state requirements by prohibiting drive-through sales and on-site or outdoor consumption. Understand that we as business owners who choose to operate in regulated industries understand that rules and requirements are ever evolving. Fishing, which I do, construction, food service, which I do, tourism, transportation, and yes, cannabis all face changing regulations. This is a known and expected part of doing business. For example, when my restaurant license was approved, this was 5 years ago, I was required to gather signatures from 51% approval of residents within a 1-mile radius to demonstrate community support. In other cases, businesses are required to make costly building upgrades to remain in compliance and be able to do business. Through city code, you have the authority to require similar accountability, especially when public safety and community values are involved. We as the community, we place our trust in you, our elected leaders, to act in the best interest of Seward. And tonight, I know that more than just I respectfully ask you to honor the work already completed and finalize the process begun by the Planning and Zoning Commission by updating the recommended cannabis codes. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, who's next?
Nate Smith.
Nate Smith, outside Seward city limits, and there are a lot of topics on the agenda tonight. I'm going to bring up the other one that's up there tonight and talk about the candidates and everything. I haven't spoken personally with Miss Griswold after she left, but I just wanted to let you know that a good person left that board abruptly. We could not be more polar opposite sides of the spectrum politically and everything. But every time I went in there, the way she directed the board, we had great interactions. She brought up points to me that I went home, thought about, research, came back. It was all in all a delight in working with the board and how she directed the board at that time. So I believe and I challenge you guys to find somebody that can fill her shoes in that same manner, that will lead that board to have those same talks back and forth. It doesn't necessarily always need to align with what I think, because she sent me home more thinking about what I needed to research and do. And I watched her go with her personal feelings to the state and then what we have as a law and vote accordingly. But the conversations that got up and around in there made me feeling like that board listened to what the community was saying. So I really appreciate that, and I wanted to say that publicly in her behalf. So once again, I challenge the council to vote in somebody with the same integrity the same willingness to listen to people, no matter what side they're on in the argument, and bring forth what is truly city code and the wishes of the people. So, in my clear mind, out of three, there's only one candidate there. I hope you side with me on that, so, good one, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Clerk?
Jennifer DeSermia.
My name is Jennifer DeSermia. I live out of city limits. I am a substitute teacher in our schools and the parent of 2 Seward High School students. I'm here to express my strong support for Resolution 2025-122, supporting local schools and directing the development of partnerships and collaborations that enhance student learning, civic engagement, and workforce development opportunities. This resolution affirms something many of us already believe, that education is a core value of our community and that our city has a meaningful role to play in supporting student learning, civic engagement, and workforce development. This resolution aligns perfectly with the Seward 2030 Comprehensive Plan by supporting inclusive, equitable opportunities for all students while strengthening our future workforce and civic life. I see every day how powerful real-world learning can be. One of my children interns at Providence Hospital, gaining hands-on experience that helps connect classroom learning to a real career pathway. My other child participates in the National Ocean Science Bowl, which partners with incredible local and statewide institutions like the Alaska Sea Life Center, the Aleutic Pride Shellfish Hatchery, and the UAF Research Vessel Sekuliak. I would like all Seward students to access these resources, not just mine. These experiences don't happen in isolation. They happen because communities choose to partner, collaborate, and invest in their students. Seward is uniquely positioned to offer students real-world learning experiences through partnerships with city departments, local organizations, institutions like Avtech, Kenai Peninsula College, the National Park Service, and our cultural and environmental resources. These kinds of collaborations don't just benefit students, they strengthen our entire community. By authorizing the city manager to explore partnerships and learn from successful models in other Alaskan communities, this resolution takes a thoughtful, practical step towards investing in our youth and our future workforce. As both an educator and a parent, I urge you to adopt this resolution and continue building partnerships that help our students stay engaged, inspired, and prepared for the future. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk? Sorry.
Amanda Sweeting.
Amanda Sweeting, outside city limits. I'm here tonight speaking both as a community member and on behalf of the Seward Chamber of Commerce. I want to express our support for Resolution 121, which recognizes childcare as a key component of Seward's economic development and long-term planning. From a business perspective, childcare is not a side issue, it is a workforce infrastructure. Access to reliable childcare directly affects employee attendance, workforce stability, and a business's ability to hire and retain staff. Here in Seward, more than 1/3 of residents report that the lack of childcare limits their ability to fully participate in the workforce. At the state level, Alaska employers lose an estimated $152 million each year due to missed work and employee turnover tied to childcare shortages. Nearly 50,000 Alaskans report that they can participate in the workforce because they have access to childcare, supporting an estimated $4.6 billion in statewide earnings. Families with reliable childcare experience more stable employment, higher earnings, and fewer barriers to staying in their communities, outcomes that directly benefit Seward's businesses and long-term economic health. This resolution is an important first step. It recognizes childcare as an economic development, directs the city to include it in planning conversations, and positions Seward to collaborate with partners and pursue external funding opportunities. From the Chamber's perspective, supporting a stable childcare system aligns directly with our mission to support local businesses and strengthen Seward's economy. From a community perspective, it's about keeping families here, maintaining a reliable workforce, and ensuring Seward remains a place where people can live, work, and raise children year-round. Strengthening childcare strengthens Seward, for businesses, for families, and for our entire community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk?
Micah Van Buskirk.
I'm Micah Van Buskirk, inside city limits.
I am here to also express support, strong support for Resolution 2025-122. As a parent, past site council president, and new school board rep, this is a very important step forward for our community. Education, youth opportunity, and workforce development are essential to the long-term health of our community. It's not just our schools that need to have this responsibility. By encouraging these partnerships between city, local schools, educational institutions, and community organizations, Seward is investing not only in students, but in the future of our local workforce and economic development within our community. Recent budget deficits, along with the unique size of our schools, has caused staffing and program reductions to drastic points. Our teachers and our admin are doing incredible things with the extremely limited resources, but there's only so much they can do. So we as a community can step up. This is an opportunity where we can actually get engaged and help our schools reflect the values and the unique character of our community. But it's going to require our businesses and our other educational institutions to get involved. It's time for our community to collaborate and find creative local ways to support our students and partner with businesses that leads to hands-on experiential learning for our students. This resolution sends an important message that Seward values our youth, supports our educators and community partners, and is committed to partnership and collaboration. Our schools can reflect the values and character of our unique and vibrant community. And I hope you pass this resolution so that we can work more to make this happen.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk.
Tim McDonald.
Tim McDonald, inside city limits. I noticed there's a $9 million grant up for grabs for gray cod disaster relief. I recommend you put it all in a fund to fix the sewer outfall at Low Point, since there's a large gray cod nursery less than a mile southwest of that outfall. I was driving back to town today, and I picked up a woman close to Nash Road that looked pretty cold, and gave her a ride to Three Bears. And she said she had a special needs kid. She worked at Safeway. And I was just wondering, why aren't we running the buses this year? Those buses that are for the cruise ships can easily do double duty. It doesn't matter whether they're for that or not. These are our citizens outside of city limits, and I think we need to run a bus line to Mile 8 and down Nash Road. You know, I don't know about Salmon Creek Road, at least not very far, but it would do a lot. It's really sticks in my craw to see people trudging that 2 miles when the chill factor is 10 degrees, and you know, a lot of people can't afford cabs. It really, and it's kind of a travesty. You know, we've got this fleet of buses for coddled tourists with their lattes in one hand that they you know, they can surely afford a cab. Okay, I know it's cruise ship money, but that doesn't make any difference. It can still do double duty to help our citizens. You know, so I think it's really a travesty that we are not running a simple bus line out to Mile 8 and to Nash Road, at least to Mile 2. There's nobody living past Mile 2. And, you know, it's easy. One bus would do it, 3 stops a day, 9 o'clock in the morning, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and 6 o'clock at night. That's all you need. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Mr. Clerk.
Katie Journey.
Katie?
My name is Katie Journey. I live outside city limits. I'm here to support the resolutions that are asking that you help our children. There are 2 of them. There's one about childcare and there's one about Seward schools. When I first moved to Seward, I was a teacher in this district. I came from a remote Alaska district. and came into this district, which was this coveted place to be for educators. It was supposed to be kind of the mecca of education in Alaska. And we have been requesting the same things from our district the whole time that I've been here. I started here in 2012. The district is not listening to Seward. We are not treated the same way that schools on the other side of the peninsula are treated. Our students are not getting an equitable education compared to students on the other side of the peninsula, and that is not okay. It's unacceptable. We need to start supporting our kids from birth, and that means that we need childcare for them. They need somewhere to go so that their parents can go to school or go to work. When I left teaching, I went to welding school. My children were 3. I am a single mother. My children were going to Big Bay Beginnings. Wednesday morning on my way to class, I dropped them off and was told that Friday would be the last day that Big Bay Beginnings was open. There was nowhere for them to go. So all of a sudden, I was faced with having to drop out of my program. Josie McLean worked some kind of miracles with the state to get her permits in order so that by Monday, she was an operating daycare, and my children were her first 2. That should never happen to anyone in Seward. We should never be that worried about where our kids are going to go, who will take care of them. You shouldn't have to piece it together. I don't have family here. I am by myself. I don't have a mom who can take care of them for me. My friends all work. There are no options. If we want to draw families into this community, we need to have services for them. That starts with childcare for extremely young children through school-age children, and that also means early childhood education, which is few and far between here, and that means a high-quality K-12 education that does not require them to sit in front of computers. The city can help us with this because the district is not. I'm begging you to step up for our kids.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk?
Andy Wilder.
Andy Wilder, Inside City Limits. I'm one of the candidates for the new P&Z seat, so I just wanted to give a quick introduction to myself. I'm a 30-year resident of Seward, small business owner for over 20 years, married, raising 2 teenage girls, and I just want to see Seward continue to thrive and be a place where my kids want to come back to and raise their kids. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk?
Rhonda Hubbard.
Good evening, Rhonda Hubbard, Inside City Limits. As all of you should know by now, and as indicated in your packet, there's been a lot of buzz going around about where, what, and how marijuana establishments should be situated and are operated in Seward. If you haven't heard, our community is very interested in getting some collective clarity and addressing concerns in our codes for marijuana establishments that is more fitting for our town and responsive to our comprehensive plan. Other Alaskan communities have already adopted their own codes for marijuana establishments, while Seward has only been reactionary to rubber stamp whatever AMCO sends them. So yes, Seward codes default to state AMCO regs even as they change and become more progressive. Since cannabis legalization in Alaska in 2014, AMCO has expanded endorsement opportunities for cannabis shops to have on-site consumption, drive-thrus, and to give away free samples, just to name a few. Unless proactive in rulemaking, these additions have caught Seward citizens off guard and incapable of fairly expressing concerns of impact on the health and welfare of their community. Nor are they given reasonable time and place awareness to formally comment to both AMCO and their local councils. Unfortunately, this lack of action has created a lot of undue tension and consternation among folks in our community and hardship for city staff. I believe admin, city staff, and council can realize clearly that via AMCO hearings, several P&Z work sessions, and public testimony, a record has been set for council to pick up on this issue of concern and need. I've shared with administration and some council members a timeline of the record that dates previously to June of '24, when P&Z first started clarifying the land uses allowed table for marijuana establishments. However, comments on how local marijuana establishments should operate first started actually with protests and letters from locals at an AMCO hearing in February of '24, when a local marijuana retail shop applied for an on-site consumption endorsement. Fast forward to January 27, 2025, we have been waiting for council to schedule another work session to review definitions and the land uses allowed table that P&Z has presented them regarding such establishments. I encourage you to review the work session notes for that meeting. This work addresses some of the latest endorsements that AMCO approves and other clarifying points within the P&Z lane of Title 15. Other points on how and when such businesses operate, just like alcohol, and what they can serve needs to be addressed in Title 8 City Code by this council. I urge this council and admin to pick up the work that has already been started and be forthcoming in moving this discussion forward. It should not be personalized as much as it needs to be stylized collectively for our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so that's all that's signed up, right? How much time is left? Or can you calculate that?
I cannot because of the
okay.
awards for Kevin and Randy. I forgot to.
Okay, I've been keeping track a little bit. We've got room for a couple, maybe 3 more people. So if, I see a hand, okay, come on up.
Why not?
I don't have anything planned, but I'm Mark Swanson. I'm outside of city limits, and I'm going to talk to the educational item. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, we're city, that's rural, that's really not our shtick, that's not our job. But I would challenge you, because when a person has a job here and they're moving here, what's the 2 questions I get they have? How's the housing? What's the schools like, right? So it really is of your concern that the schools are in good shape, right? So I know what you're saying. What can you do? Well, for starters, you can look at what we've had in the past. When I came here, it was a whole different thing, guys. I mean, holy smokes, these schools were rocking it. And what made it real unique was what makes Seward unique. We have all these resources here, and we tapped into them back then. Gosh, we had the Park Service coming in doing stuff. I partnered with the city to do an archaeological dig in the park. We had on-the-job training up at the high school. We even had a preschool up at the middle school, high school, where the kids were helping. And those type of partnerships is what makes Seward really potentially educational mecca, because we have so many different resources that we can tap into. But what we had before, it wasn't sustainable, because that was all teacher-driven or driven by the agencies. Right now, what we need is that person, that entity, something to help facilitate that, be the connection between these other parts into the schoolroom, into the classrooms. Because then, you don't have just learning by books, you have authentic learning, working with the community, finding out what jobs are around here in our community, keeping the kids here. But that's where we need the city. It's not going to be the district. It's not going to be the borough. And you really need to consider it as being a necessary thing for the city to take over. Please consider it. I know it would serve the schools well. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yeah, come on.
also prepare a statement. Hi, I'm Lavina Dickinson. I live outside the city limits. I would also ask you to lend your support to Education Resolution 122. We've homeschooled all 4 of our children. We graduated one, another is due to graduate from Connections this summer, and 3 years ago we made the decision to move our younger 2 into the public schools. We have been part of the public school community since then. And today we're seriously discussing pulling them out again. That's how dire the situation is in our schools. We are not the only family facing this decision right now, and I think it should be a wake-up call. I want to challenge a common narrative I hear, and it's that education should primarily be framed around building a future workforce. That matters, but it shouldn't be the driving focus. The more immediate issue is the health of our town, and the health of our town is measured by the health of its families. Schools sit at the center of that. They are where children learn, where families connect, and where community life is anchored. When schools weaken or close, communities suffer in ways that go far beyond test scores. Across Alaska, we've seen school closures lead to population decline, reduced services, and towns struggling to remain viable. Over the past decade, dozens of Alaskan schools have closed, particularly in smaller communities, and the pattern's clear. When schools disappear, families follow. Here on the peninsula, many families are already opting out of our traditional schools. The district's Connections program, which I have one child in, serves roughly 1,300 local students. When you add families who homeschool independently or use non-district programs, estimates suggest that around 30% of children on the peninsula are homeschooling. The national average is 7%. That should be a wake-up call. That level of disengagement should concern all of us, because it reflects a weakening ties between families and the public schools that hold our communities together. If we lose our schools, if families feel like their only viable option is to pull their kids out or leave town, we lose Seward. It's as simple as that. Businesses lose customers, young families stop settling here, property values decline, and the city's capacity to support services erodes. With the proposed closure of Seward Middle School, this isn't rhetoric. This is real. This is facing our community right now. From our perspective, the system is already strained, and you've heard people talking about it. We have funding shortages. We have staffing shortages. High school students here cannot graduate without taking online classes because the classes that they're required to take to graduate are not available in the building. At the elementary school, OT services have gone virtual because of staffing shortages. We are losing so much. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. We have time for like 2 more, so is there anyone out there? Yeah, come on.
Randy Wells, inside city limits. Thank you, council members and administration in the clerk's office. I believe the city of Seward is on a cusp of significant change. Current property developments and those coming in the near future are going to bring new housing, and with that, more year-round residents and a great opportunity to create a year-round economy. I believe today's planning and zoning commissioners, working with community development, administration, and the council, could bring about the changes needed for a vibrant, sustainable economy that benefits everyone. As you all know, I was deeply proud of the progress we achieved during my time 4 years on the council, and I believe that my record showed dedication in researching resolutions, voting in a non-biased way, and understanding the roles and responsibilities not only of the city council members, but that also of planning and zoning commissioners, from quasi-judicial hearings to applying the Roberts Rules of Order and their importance of fair decision-making. As a local business owner and property manager, I firsthand have seen how zoning decisions impact housing, infrastructure, and commercial growth. I've invested in Seward through job creation and property revitalization, and I know how critical thoughtful planning is for our city. As you know, I put my name in the hat for planning and zoning for the 1-year seat, and if appointed, I'll bring the same integrity and dedication to the commission seat as I did as a city council member. I'll work collaboratively to ensure Seward grows responsibly and remains a community that we're all proud of. And I'm, again, very grateful for my time on council and for the opportunity to speak tonight. Thank you.
Okay, one more. Is there anyone out there that wants to speak? Okay, that, by my count, that's just about 36 minutes, so. Oh, one more?
Anybody else want to take it?
No one else. You'll be the last, Becky, if you want to speak.
Just wanted to give somebody else an opportunity.
Yeah, that's fine, thank you.
Becky Dunn, Inside the City. I just wanted to pay tribute to Shirley Dickraft passed away, who was a great daycare provider in Seward for my youngest son for years. And Nana's Nuggets was the other one. But what both of those didn't have to deal with is as much state regulations and rules. So maybe if Seward could take a dive into that, make some suggestions. That's something that hasn't been brought up yet, and it's not just a Seward thing, but I've talked to people who have started to do daycares or quit doing daycares because of all the rules and regulations. And that's all I got. Besides, let's not forget small businesses. They used to have a great on-the-job training program for students in high school. I think they had to do it or had a requirement for it, and had many high schoolers come through that gets their foot in the door with businesses, been many of their first job and recommendations for future jobs. So let's not forget that. Seward also has a very low population percent-wise of children, and we might want to take a dive into what that is. And I also wonder if the 30% that are homeschooling is a little bit higher, because a lot of people don't go through the state, so I don't know how they know if they're not getting funding from anywhere. A lot of new people moving to town have kids but aren't going through any program. Thank you.
Thank you, Becky. Okay, we've heard a lot. We'll move on now to the approval of the agenda and the consent agenda. I'd ask for a motion to approve and a second, please.
I'll move for the approval of tonight's agenda and consent agenda. I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Are there any changes that anyone wants to make? Okay, seeing none, Mr. Clerk, we can vote.
Voting on the approval of tonight's agenda and consent agenda. Warner?
Yes.
Barnwell?
Yes.
Kreitz?
Yes.
Osenga?
Yes.
Draper?
Yes.
Calhoun?
Yes.
And Mayor McClure.
Yes.
Your agenda and consent agenda have been approved, and on the consent agenda are the approval of the November 17th, 2025 City Council meeting minutes, Resolution 2025-123, authorizing the city manager to accept funds from the Gulf of Alaska Pacific Cod Federal Fishery Disaster Relief through the Pacific States Marine Fisheries Commission in the amount of $9,438.15. Resolution 2025-124, repealing Resolution 2025-064, and authorizing the city manager to accept an adjusted loan amount from the Alaska Department of Environmental Conservation Clean Water Fund for $740,000 with loan forgiveness of $740,000 for planning and design of Lowell Point and Smick Lagoon effluent disinfection and completing and implementing a required wastewater water utility rate study. Resolution 2025-125, authorizing the city manager to purchase water meters from Anchorage Well and Pump Service for an amount not to exceed $201,471.72. And lastly, no grounds for protest to the renewal of the AMCO retail marijuana store license for the Tufted Puffin and the on-site consumption for the Tufted Puffin at 408 Port Avenue, and the retail marijuana store license for the Tufted Puffin at 216 4th Avenue. And that is all.
Thank you. It's time for the city manager report. Madam City Manager, let's hear what you got.
Great, thank you, Madam Mayor.
So this past week was a busy one. Many staff and Jason and I and some council and mayor were up at the Alaska Municipal League Conference. But while I was up there, I was able to tune in via Zoom to our electric town hall meeting held on Wednesday night. This was the second of 4 planned meetings, and it brought together all of the different leaders of the utility co-ops on the rail belt to talk about what they do in their organizations. Some of the next steps in that process, we will be planning 2 more. A 3rd meeting to talk about what a municipally owned electric utility like ours is like, and a 4th that kind of wraps everything up. In between the 3rd and the 4th, we'll be sending out a secondary survey that complements the survey that we had sent out at the beginning of this process to re-gauge some of the questions that had been posed and see if new things have been gleaned and what people have learned through this process. Because one of the big things we saw in the first survey was that people didn't feel informed, so we want to make sure with that next survey that we can finish that job. And then once we have that survey, we'll bring that to you in a packet kind of some of the focus groups that we did, survey results, and what those 3 town halls looked like, and then together maybe chart a path of what that 4th and final town hall looks like. So exciting things to come in that realm. Taylor also braved the weather to have an open house at the Lowell Canyon water power generation plant, so thank you to everybody that joined on that. What else did I want to highlight? Oh, we also had our EPA grant stakeholder meeting on Friday that brought together all of the contractors and people working on the project for the shore power at the new cruise ship terminal. And I was really excited the EPA representatives that we work with were able to join the call and really highlighted how far along and how well we're doing. I'm a very competitive person, and they said that we're doing well in compared to many of our other grantees. So I gave a little woohoo for that in my mind. Very excited to see that project moving along, and we're really, really looking forward to that. We also have, this is our last meeting for the new year, for 2025, and in addition to being competitive, I also love setting New Year's resolutions. So some of the things that we have coming forward that I am in my head marking as New Year's resolutions is transitioning to ACH payments in the city of Seward. You may have realized in the past that if any vendors are out there, people who work with the city, we only accept and send out paper checks. We're trying to join the 20th century and maybe be able to do an ACH payment or 2. And a big kudos to Suli and her team for really tackling that head on and finding a good vendor to work with that has a liability of fraud coverage that's very high. Because as we are also in the holiday season, we recognize that fraud and online phishing scams are running rampant. And to wrap this all together, one big one that we've been seeing is that if somebody is working with the city through an application process, phishers and scammers are taking all of their information from those applications in our packets and then emailing them requesting for a payment, a wire transfer to the city to pay for that application. So I just wanted to let everybody know that the city will never ask you for a wire transfer, especially if there's any thing in there that looks fishy at all. Be sure to double check. Our phone calls are open, our phone lines are open. If it's odd office hours, come in the next day and just make sure that it's a real payment, because we don't want anybody to get scammed out of anything this holiday season. And with that, I think that's all I have for my report.
Councilmember Barnwell.
I have 2 things. The fast response cutter Frederick Mann.
Yes.
Can you clarify what, when you say there's a development, construction, where is that and what is that?
Sorry?
For the Frederick Mann, it's going to be over at Smick.
Yeah, so the Coast Guard Frederick Mann is the new cutter that has been built and commissioned for the city of Seward. It's currently in Kodiak, but we sold property to the Coast Guard a few years ago that will be a dedicated location for the FRC in Seward. So they have that property across the bay. It's attached to one of our docks over there, and so they'll be working over the next few years to complete that project of building the facilities for that Coast Guard cutter over by Smick, kind of right next to the seafood processing place. Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead. The other one is that I'd like to make a proposal that the city council direct the admin to set up a joint work session with planning and zoning concerning the cannabis industry.
Great. And I'm joining in with him.
Okay.
Yeah. Great. If there's no objection from council.
Will do. Do you have a timeline that you would like? January? We have
January.
January
probably,
5th.
Yeah.
I keep saying that the meeting's January 15th, but I don't know off the top of my head, but we'll set that up for one of the meetings in January.
Okay.
Great.
I wanted to pass along that I've gotten quite a few compliments for you on your newsletter.
Thank you.
People really have liked how you delineate the things that are coming up on council, and they're getting an education through you. And if you want to receive that, how do people sign up for that?
Wonderful question. So big kudos to Kristen, who is, I can't tell, she's in the hallway, so I'll say it extra loud. Huge kudos. Kristen has done an awesome job of taking that and bringing it to new heights. So while it does say it's the city manager newsletter, I will admit that Kristen is the one putting that together and putting a lot of the work behind that. I'm not that competitive. So, but an exciting thing, you can find the city manager newsletter on our Facebook page or our website. We also send it out with the e-notifications. And so if you go to the City of Seward website, there's a tab under government, I believe, that'll lead to notifications. And on that, you can sign up for a variety of notifications. You can sign up for the city manager newsletter, updates on planning and zoning, on city council agendas. One exciting thing that we've also started doing, there's always been a button you can click to receive job notifications, but we were never sending out job vacancies via that. We are now sending out all of our job vacancies through e-notifications. So if you've ever been curious or wanted to stay in touch and on tabs of job openings at the best place in city to work, which is the city, sorry, I got so excited to say that I went ahead of it. You can sign up for those e-notifications, and our HR manager, Ashley, sends those out as jobs are open. So e-notifications is a really great way to stay in touch with the city manager newsletter, agendas, jobs, etc. So definitely recommend signing up for that.
Okay. Any other comments, questions for administration? Mr. Bickling, did you have anything to add?
No comments, thank you.
I always forget to ask you.
Thank you.
I guess we're ready to go to the city clerk report, which is a pretty spiffy little thing you put in this time. Do you want to tell people what it is?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor McClure. The clerk report in the packet is just a one-page report. It's the cover artwork of a council packet from 2006, which is the oldest council packet that can be found on our legislative history site. And so as we approach the 20th anniversary of this packet, I just think it's a fun tradition that Seward has of featuring cover photos on council packets, and the other agendas and packets I've seen from other cities, I've never seen them do that. It always starts with just the agenda being the front page, so proud to continue this fine Seward tradition.
Can you tell us what that is?
I believe that is fireworks.
That's what I figured. But also, pretty much, Chris is the one that's taking the pictures lately. Every so often my cat will appear, but that's been a while, so.
I tried to get a photo on once, but I got voted down.
And on the topic of e-notifications, I was thinking about requesting a presentation slot for January, and I could do like maybe a demo on the big screen so folks watching from home could see where you could sign up for all these newsletters and
Perfect.
other updates.
You'll get 10 minutes.
All right.
Request approved.
Yes. Okay. City attorney report. We got a couple of attorneys here tonight, so there they are.
We have a couple of us, yeah. Thank you. I'll keep mine relatively brief. November was pretty relatively quiet, really, and that's how it should be. We're always in very frequent contact with management or the clerk's office, but if all goes well, these reports should be pretty short and light on newsworthy items, and that's the way this one is. I think I may have erred in compiling this. The first line, I just wanted to clarify, it mentions the Sea Life Center contract, governance structure, and that was taken care of, I believe, in October, so that's already been before the council, and that may have just been a failure to edit that, but, so nothing going on in that regard recently. One other one I wanted to mention is just in that first section, and then I'm going to kick it over to Cody to talk about the electric utility, take advantage of the fact that he's here because I stay out of that electric utility stuff for the most part. But it mentions we advised on a slip and fall negligence claim, and that is it's just worth very brief mention, but that's a subrogation claim where somebody, I think it's a cruise passenger, I'm getting very, very little information right now, but purports to have slipped and fell, and then what happens is the insurer pays that, but then they have the ability to, after, they need to pay it to make the person whole, but then they have the right to come after the city, so they're kind of working with them. But what was kind of noteworthy about that is I was trying to express that I wasn't too impressed. Some assistant from the attorney's office called that I wasn't too impressed with the slip and fall case in general, but in Seward that she might want to consider that people grow up on boats, that it snows, which turns into ice for 6 months out of the year, and then it rains quite a bit. And I also suggested she Google Mount Marathon race and see that the town is famous for people running up and down essentially a cliff, and see how well she thought a slip and fall would be taken. But nonetheless, we're dealing with it, we'll take it seriously. But it really got me kind of thinking about, like, that might be a tough sell for people in Seward. But beyond that, we're dealing with it like we do any other, and the insurer's aware of it. And it's work in progress. So, yeah, but with that, I'll turn it over to Cody to talk about some of the utility.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. I think maybe Sam didn't have too much because he hasn't done a lot of the utility stuff. It's just been very busy. I am happy to report. So we've been doing this RTO case, which, big picture, it's kind of that electric toll, getting rid of those. And we honed in on 3 major issues for the city, and all 3 of them have gotten pretty good traction in the docket and with the commission. The commission's been very active in asking additional questions of the parties, which has made it interesting and busy. But one of the highlights is they actually quoted Jason's testimony or cited to it, and one of the ideas that we proposed through Jason on how to treat some of the costs, the commission's really interested in that and asked for additional briefing on it. So the city's punching above its weight and, really getting some good traction in this case. So that's been encouraging, and we'll keep pushing forward with it.
Okay, thank you. Questions for either attorney? We appreciate what you do. Question, or was that just,
Can you give us a detail on what Jason suggested?
One of the issues is how to treat costs that are subject to prior agreements, and what to do with those agreements. Can the commission change the way those costs are collected and allocated? And so one of the city's proposals is you can keep them the same and then allow the entities that are being billed those costs to uplift them to the RTO. So right now the RTO's proposal is kind of keep those costs separate, and our proposal was, well, you can just let those costs be like valid costs under the tariff, and so that they get billed out but then uplifted and redistributed based on the RTO's cost allocation. So
there you go.
Sorry. It's a great proposal by Jason, and he's, by the time he has to sit there on the stand, he's going to be well versed and ready to just take it on.
Okay, any other questions for the attorneys? All right, thank you very much. We'll be talking later. Okay, at this point, I'm going to ask council, do we want to take a 5-minute break or do it after the chamber presentation? Anybody need a break right now? Okay, then let's go ahead and have the presentation from the chamber, and then we'll take a break after that.
Thought I'd give like a little head nod. Hey, this is good too.
Just want to say, after hearing you guys all public speak it, so you guys are so good at it as I start to public speak. Do I press play?
The arrow should turn it.
Oh, okay. Hello again. I'm just going to jump right into it. I know I have 10 minutes. Welcome to the Community Impact and a bit of a reintroduction to your local chamber, Seward Chamber of Commerce Conference and Visitor Center. First of all, I want to introduce my staff. I'm Amanda, Executive Director. Paige, Malia, who's here too. She's our Visitor Center and Member Coordinator. And Liz, and the polka dots, is our Communications and Comms Coordinator. They are all amazing, and I want to be able to do this job without them. And yeah, a bit of reintroduction because we're all a bit new. So, our board, also our amazing board. The photos in the far right, we just did our 2026 board elections, and we're really excited about our new board members. We have been working towards representing the diversity of our membership, and we feel like our new board members are a great step in that direction. And the best part of us, of course, is our members. We have 469 members, 70% are small businesses with less than 5 employees. We represent a wide variety of industries, mostly based in Seward, but also among the states. We do have a 94% retention rate, thanks Malia. And we did unveil a new makers membership to represent people without storefronts, artisans, crafters, musicians. So if you're interested in something like that, I would talk to Malia. You guys have all seen this before in our presentations and publications. It's our mission, our values, this beautiful graph someone made. But I thought I would kind of get back to the basics here, just in case, just to clarify what a chamber is. We're a not-for-profit 501c6, and we support our members' businesses with strengthening the Seward economy. Our work helps local businesses succeed so we can help build sustainable futures for our community. I see the chamber as a 3-prong. The first is small business advocacy. We advocate for our members, provide a platform to learn and share about local issues, and create opportunities to connect and network. The next one, which you're probably most interested in, as it has to do with our city contract, is our destination marketing. We're the marketing organization for our members and for Seward. We run the Visitor Center, produce printed guides, run social media channels, and Seward.com. And let's not forget super fun, amazing events. We produce events that serve as an economic drivers, supporting local businesses while enriching our community. We also do fireworks. I don't know if you guys know that, but we do the 4th of July fireworks and the New Year's Eve fireworks, so we'll see you guys out there in about a month. So let's jump into the events prong. These are our signature events. You guys all know and love them, of course. We have Mount Marathon Race and 4th of July Festival. We had just over 1,000 racers. 900 are Alaskan, representing 35 communities across the state. We also introduced the Makers Lot to help represent the Makers membership while having more vendors. And we've been building relationships closer with the downtown businesses and make sure they get correct representation during the street closures. We also do the Silver Salmon Derby. We had the honor to dedicate it to Dorothy Erbach this year. We brought back nonprofit barbecues, so local nonprofits have a chance to sell lunches to the anglers to raise funds. We also started the Pro category, which helps support charters. And then we bought 15,000 Coho smolt with our buyback program, which was really great. And you can tell from 2024 to 2025, it was a really good year. And then, of course, we're adding to our roster of signature events, the Polar Bear Jump. It's going to be our first winter signature event, and we're very excited about it. And we're excited to continue a great Seward tradition. Proceeds from the jump, as always, will go to the American Cancer Society, and the auction and community fundraisers will donate to Katie's Handprint, which supports Alaskan families impacted by childhood cancer with financial grants. And already in this year alone, they've given out $125,000, which is a pretty impressive number. And we got together with Katie's Handprint, and together we created a Kenai Peninsula specific fund, so the dollars donated here will stay local. Let's not forget the smaller community events. We just did Shop Small Weekend, and businesses turned back to us raffle tickets, 668. Each one represents a purchase at a small business. So that's a really great success for the small businesses during this time of the year. We do the Double Scoops Job Fair, First Friday Art Walks, Seward Community Awards, Red Ribbon Cuttings. We partnership with the Seward Alaska Entrepreneurship Week, Volunteer Appreciation Cruise, winter weekends, luncheons and after fives. And don't forget the Holiday Light Contest. You still have time to sign up, December 18th. Cat.
Sign up.
And now let's talk about the small business advocacy prong. We're just getting started. We're all a new team. Malia's the longest permanent team member at 1 year. So we're learning and we're absorbing, but we're really excited. We open board meetings to presentations from the community members. Each employee will be joining a local board or committee. We do the amazing bi-weekly emails from Liz with community news and events from our members. We're trying to regularly attend City Council and PACAB for our membership base, and we created the Destination Stewardship Committee. We just had our first meeting, so we're still making our mission statement, but it's to better represent community needs within the growing tourism industry in town. Oh, sorry, I'm a little, okay, sorry. So we also produced the destination guide. I don't know if you guys seen it around town. It is the most popular, one of the most popular requested guides in the state. We printed 40,000 copies, and we ran out by August. So we will be printing out more. We had 4,000 direct mail requests, and as you can tell from our stats, our publications are really popular reads. We brought the design of the destination guide in-house, and we are doing a let's do more attitude. As you can see, we do a stay, we do that same layout for play and for eat. We're going to do one for shop this year as well to better represent more members and more of our small businesses. We're also going to do a whole visit like a local section. It's an off-season guide to promote year-round economic growth. We're highlighting Kuchichik Native Tribe because they're an important part of our story. We're going to do a live music festival page. It's a growing economic driver in town. And we're going to pull through that destination stewardship page as well. Let's talk about our website. We're pulling through that Let's Do More. We added a winner to the main menu, reorganized the events calendar based on community feedback, partnered with Seward Folly for our blog, and once again, destination stewardship page we're creating right now. And the stats for that, our total for the year are 200,000 over, and our top pages, number one is actually events, and then among the top 10 are things to do, our visitors guide, lodging, restaurants, fishing, and winter. It was really great to see winter up there. And then since 2020, our membership pages for our members have gotten just about 800,000 views, which is pretty impressive. Our social media channels, we have Liz has been doing a really good job of putting the filter through a local lens, a more community-driven approach. We've done a new social media calendar to better represent the diversity of our members. So we do like Workforce Sunday, Member Monday, Tasty Tuesday, some quick stats for our Facebook. We doubled followers 2025, and our interactions are up 60%. For Seward Chamber Instagram, we have 500 new followers since May 31st with 225,000 views. And then for Visit Seward, which is our more tourism-facing destination management Instagram, we got 5,000 new followers this year with 1.5 million views since May. So pretty good channels. And our visitor center is very busy. Thank you, Malia. We have an 86% increase in visitors this year. We had just shy of 6,000, and now we have 11,000 this year. So that's more and more visitors are coming to the visitor center for recommendations for our town. Looking forward, sorry, I'm ahead of myself. looking forward, we're really excited. We have a lot of momentum here at the Chamber. We're looking to do some visitor center improvements, reinvesting in the luncheon program, industry town halls, a website audit to see what works and what doesn't, and more data. We love data at the Chamber. And on top of that, we're kind of in our feedback and ideas era. Like I said, we're pretty new, so we would love to hear from you guys. We know our contract will be up for renewal, so please expect to see invites in all your inboxes so we can have one-on-ones to see what you would like to see from your local chamber. I anticipate bringing back a long-term contract that will adequately meet the needs of our community and destination management for years to come. Also, I would like to invite any community members who have ideas or feedback. We would love to hear it. We really want to, we all have the same goal, and ICS is working in tandem and very closely, and I'm really excited. Lastly, this is our Seward, our team. Our friends or family are here. They're employees, they're employers. They're raising kids in the school system. They're buying houses, they're renting. This is our community, and we deeply care about it, and so we take this position at the Seward Chamber very seriously. And I want to thank you for your time and consideration. 2 seconds left.
She knows I'm serious about the 10 minutes.
She warned me in the hallway.
It was sort of in jest. Are there questions for, yeah, Councilmember Burma?
Hi, Amanda.
Hi.
Nice job.
Oh, thank you.
I want to know how Liz gets, Malia, sorry. I knew your sister got her, sorry about that. But how you get all the visitors in the visitor center? That's a lot of people.
Yeah, so I worked in the visitor center previously before stepping into a more chamber position. With the influx of cruise ships and the amount of people coming off the cruise ships, there has been a more streamlined function between those cruise ships and the visitor center as their first stop before they go out into the rest of Seward, which can be attributed to a mix of things. We're also getting a lot more tour buses here in town, Salmonberry Traveling Tours, there's a lot of smaller ones, and they have been consistently stopping at the visitor center before they go to do their tours to be able to gather information and distribute it to their passengers. So through having these different modes of transportation rely on us for that information, we are significantly increasing the amount of visitors that we're having interact with the chamber and the visitor center.
Good answer. I have one more.
Okay.
To Amanda. We worked, I think it was last year, a couple years ago, we were trying to tease apart the visitor center from the chamber. And I don't know if you guys have been working on that, or because I know when it comes to funding it, it's really it helps for us to see kind of the different how you guys tease those apart and how we fund you based on that.
Yeah, totally. And I eventually would like maybe a board member to sponsor a discussion so we can go more in depth about the needs and where your dollars are going. And this was just like kind of an introductory, but I definitely have more information to share, and I want to get to know you guys more. And we're also going to do a chamber luncheon, more in-depth, data-driven. So yeah, we've been working on teasing that apart because it is important to especially identify our needs as well.
Yeah, I'm sorry, because I'm trying to remember that conversation, but I think that the gist of it was that other communities don't fund their visitor center or their chamber as well as we do sometimes. Yeah, we have two different entities, but sometimes we forget that. So I think it would be to your benefit to make sure that we see both of those, you know, so as we come up on that time that we know we can distinguish the two different things you do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. It is a common problem on the Kenai Peninsula for some reason for them to be similar, the visitor center and the chamber, to have that. Yeah, it's we just visited Homer actually, and they also do the same thing, and yeah, it was really interesting. But yeah, I think there's an importance in distinction as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I agree.
Other questions?
Not a question so much as a comment. I'm really glad to see that you're considering going back to the luncheons because they're really an important aspect of the chamber. I know they used to be really vibrant meetings, and I've noticed being in the Rotary Club that we're getting a lot more participation on meetings that maybe better would be in the chamber, for a chamber luncheon.
It's true.
With us not being political or anything.
Yeah.
There's a lot of those, and I've always been a big fan of the chamber. I'm personally responsible for 5 memberships.
So you're my favorite city council member. Yeah, no, I guess I was hearing, because this is our first season running the luncheons, and hearing what they were like pre-COVID has got us pretty excited about what they could be for next season, for sure. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for your time.
Okay, we're going to take a 5-minute break, Mr. Clerk, so we'll be back at 8:25 and we'll get into business, okay?
minutes is this? It's in the...
We're back on the air.
We're going to call the meeting back to order now. Those in the hallway could come in. Or can you stifle them? Okay, we're going to continue now with the business that we have. First is Resolution 2025-117. Mr. Clerk, would you please read that into the record?
Resolution 2025-117, adopting the 2026 City of Seward Pay Plan.
Okay, I need a motion to approve in a second, please.
I'll move for the approval of Resolution 2025-117.
I'll second. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Administration, will you speak to it?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So this is our 2025 pay plan. The City Council previously approved this pay plan at the time of the Seward Public Employees Association contract. There are some employees that fall under the pay plan that do not fall into that collective bargaining unit. So this includes all employees. It also is in line with the 2025 and 2026 budget, so it's incorporated into our next budget cycle, but this is a resolution to formally adopt that pay plan for the upcoming year, which includes a 3% COLA and a 2.5% between steps for all city employees.
Okay. Are there any questions or discussion from council? Councilmember Barnwell.
We've heard so many people talk today, so I have to talk. So I'm just going to talk. So we gave pay raise 8%. Basically, what this is doing is the people that didn't get the 8% now get the 8%?
No, it's completely separate from that. So in the 25-26 budget, for 25 we included an 8% wage increase, and for 26 we include a 4% increase in the personnel expenses to kind of allocate for sway and cost of living adjustment. So this is creating the pay plan for this year that is 3% cost of living adjustment correlative to the collective bargaining agreement that we approved. So nothing to do with last year. This is the pay plan that we approved with the collective bargaining agreement that is now going towards the entirety of the city.
Okay, I'm just, sorry,
Yeah.
So 3% COLA, is that in 2.5 between the steps? How is that different than in the past?
It's a 3% addition, the 2.5% is the same. That's how the pay plan is.
So the 3% COLA is new?
Yes.
And that was part of our
Collective bargaining agreement, yes. Mm-hmm. And then in between steps, so like if you come in at a 5A, every time you get a successful evaluation, you get a 2.5% bump.
And so sorry, I mean, it's been a while since we agreed to that, and I knew that we did the 8%, but it's based on the 3% COLA that we had done that.
Mm-hmm.
So just so that people know that the Consumer Price Index, can you just talk to why we needed 3% based on the Consumer Price Index?
Well, so our collective bargaining agreement for the next 3 years includes a 3% COLA for this year, and then in the remaining years, a cost of living adjustments that's correlative to inflation. So we could keep our wages stagnant consistently for the next 5 years, and then do another 8% increase at the end of those 5 years, but rather than always trying to catch up, we negotiated to having a steady cost of living adjustment over time. You know, I think it's often said that it is getting, often hear inflation and things like that, so this is continuing along that pathway of making sure that in 10 years we're not like, oh, we need to give another 8 to 10% raise. We just continue along and increase so that our wages are commensurate with the cost of living in Seward.
Is that standard for most?
This is very standard for most organizations that, one, have a collective bargaining unit, and two, have consistent pay plan updates. I don't have the numbers off the top of my head, but I do know that similar municipalities have been negotiating, and at the Municipal League conference I heard some other communities saying 5 to 6% annually, and so we're in a good position of having done that big increase to get us to a standard that we can hire and get employees, and now we will continue to do modest increases that are correlative to inflation. I think this year the inflationary numbers are already hovering at around 2.8%, so we'll see that reflected in the next year, because as prices go up, if your salary doesn't go up, then you technically yeah.
I got it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Other questions? Are we ready? We're ready, Mr. Clerk.
Voting on the approval of Resolution 2025-117. Barnwell?
Yes.
Calhoun?
Yes.
Kreitz?
Yes.
Osenga?
Yes.
Draper?
Yes.
Warner?
Yes.
And Mayor McClure.
Yes.
That resolution has been approved.
Okay, next we have Resolution 2025-118. When you're ready, Mr. Clerk, could you read that?
Resolution 2025-118, authorizing the city manager to accept the proposal from Electric Power Constructors, EPC, for the rebuild of Lawing Substation in an amount not to exceed $5.2 million.
Okay, I'd ask for a motion to approve and a second, please.
I move for the approval of Resolution 2025-118.
I'll second that.
Okay, moved and seconded. Administration.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is the final piece to the infrastructure, or second to final piece to the infrastructure project, and I may just invite Taylor to come up to the stand to speak to the next three resolutions. But one thing I would like to point out on this resolution to rebuild the Lawing substation is that under Section 2, funding for this project in the amount of $5.2 million shall be derived from the Electric Enterprise Fund. That is a line that we took from the previously approved resolution of a similar nature, so that we have the flexibility to do an internal loan, which we anticipate bringing forward to you within the first few meetings of 2026. So this funding for this project will be derived from that internal loan, but we wanted to allow for the flexibility so that we can get this work started before then. But Taylor, do you have anything to add about the project itself?
Sure, Madam Mayor and members of the council, the one thing I wanted to add, because we've kind of talked about this at length before, but I did attend a community council meeting in Moose Pass. There were some questions about the new substation and just wanting to know about the lighting and kind of how large the new substation is going to be and everything. So we have looked into additional lighting options and stuff. So driving back from that meeting, I never really noticed it before, but the omnidirectional light that we have out there is like very bright. And it brightens up the whole neighborhood, not just the substation. So for anyone that's concerned, our friends out in Lawing and Moose Pass, like we are looking at some directional lighting, to improve that. And then I wanted to upgrade the fence a little bit too, so it's a little more pleasing to the eye, but then our engineers were telling me that creates like a wing in the wind. So we're going to look into all that kind of stuff, but the actual point of doing rebuilding the substation is that we can bypass the substation with 115 kV line that comes all the way down to Seward, and then we're going to have an 8 kVA transformer that is or 8 MVA transformer that's in the new substation. So there will be some room for growth with the new setup, but it brings the whole substation up to the current National Electric Safety Code, and at the same time, we're going to try to, make it a little more pleasing for the neighbors.
Okay. Questions for any of these people? I think we've been pretty well versed on this so far. Are we ready to vote? Okay, Mr. Clerk.
Voting on the approval of Resolution 2025-118. Barnwell?
Yes.
Kreitz?
Yes.
Warner?
Yes.
Osenga?
Yes.
Calhoun?
Yes.
Draper?
Yes.
And Mayor McClure.
Yes.
That resolution has been approved.
Okay. And next we have Resolution 2025-119. Mr. Clerk, when you're ready, could you read that?
Resolution 2025-119, authorizing the city manager to purchase advanced metering infrastructure, AMI, meters, network equipment, and software from Landis and Gear for citywide electric meter modernization in the amount of $766,389, plus a 10% contingency and appropriating funds.
Okay, and I'd ask for a motion to approve in a second, please.
I move for the approval of Resolution 2025-119.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. You'll find this on page 79. I've been remiss in telling the pages, but if you have the packet. Administration.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll invite Taylor to speak to this.
Thank you. So this is a project that I've been working on for probably a year and a half now, and we went through an extensive RFP with help from Utilisys, separate arm of Utilisys than the one that's been helping us with the billing. But they specialize in RFPs for AMI meters. During that process, I found out that 72% of the U.S. now has the AMI meters installed, and the rest of the rail belt has them installed. So we looked at 3 brands that are also used on the rail belt, just in case we need some help with anything on the meters. And it was Alclara, Landis & Gear, and Itron. Personally, when I started getting the proposals from the different manufacturers, Itron was probably my favorite because you could Wi-Fi into your meter, and you could have access to look at things that the utility cannot see, such as if you have a well pump failing, or your heat pump use, your EV charging, all the things. So in respect to our community, I wanted to keep the privacy as great as possible. So we ended up going with Landis & Gear just because the pricing was better and there was better propagation on the meters, so it's easier to bring back the reads with lower cost. But anyway, with the Landis & Gear meters, they don't have the customer interface on them, but what we'll be able to see is the voltage and the amperage used by each meter, and then report that through another software that I'm bringing to your attention on the 12th of January, so that you can have an app on your phone and see your real-time use. Because since I've gotten here, there's been a lot of customers that come in, they have high usage complaints. And so the only way that I can study your house is by putting what's called a boomerang reader behind your meter, and it's a cellular-enabled reader that brings all the data back to my computer, and we leave it on your house for a couple weeks, kind of see what your trends are, and then I can print out a report for you. But with this technology, it's using RF signals, so most utilities are going with cellular meters, and like anyone else in town, I kind of follow the Facebook, and the cellular technology isn't super popular, so I was looking at different meters that are RF for the backhaul, and then there will be a collector up on a pole that has a fiber optic cable to it, and that's how the data comes back into the server. And so it's there's no cellular technology involved. It's actually our current meters are at 420 megahertz, and the new meters are at 120 megahertz, so it's less exposure. So it's kind of like listening to the radio if you have a car. But so anyway, Landis & Gear seemed to be the best price, but they also offered the most options for the utility as far as customer support and the longevity of their meters. Other than that, I've kind of hold some of this for questions, but like we just, like I said, went through a 271 question RFP. Basically, how I got led to the 271 grading criteria was they kept saying, hey, do you want this? And I'm like, oh, that sounds kind of good. And then when I actually got the grading packet, it's like 8 hours per manufacturer to grade them out. But anyway, so like I said, we've extensively graded the RFP, and Landis & Gear is also the same manufacturer that Chugach Electric uses. When I worked for Chugach Electric, we installed them between 2014 and 2015. And the other thing I've heard is that the AMIs can catch on fire and burn houses down. Well, under my watch, there's only been one house that's burned down, and it wasn't because of the meter, it was because of poor craftsmanship pulling the service into the house. And fortunately, it was a brand new duplex, and back in, this was probably like 2018, was only a $400,000 rebuild for us to pay out on, but
and that wasn't in Seward, to clarify.
Yeah,
it was before.
Yeah, that was just due to poor craftsmanship, but anyway, that was brought to my attention, and there's always a chance that you could have a fire in a meter base if you don't have quality material. And so the main thing and this has never happened anywhere I've worked, but if the jaws that the meter locks into are too loose, then that can create arcing and sparking, and if the meter base isn't properly grounded, and that can cause a fire. But like I said, in the one house that we accidentally burned down is because of poor craftsmanship pulling the service into the liquid-tight flex at the base of the meter base and stripped the jacket back, and the grounds weren't attached and lit it off.
One thing I would like to add is that we had originally estimated this project would come in at 1.2 million, but we're excited to see that after going through all the RFPs and with Landis and Garrett comes in at about 766,000. So that's an exciting difference to see at the end of an RFP process.
All right. Okay, questions, comments? Councilmember Calhoun.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And Taylor, thank you for starting to get into some of that, because that was a little bit of a discussion that we had, because if you go out, you can see where there are concerns with fires from some of these digital meters. What I looked into, there are some communities where they pulled like 70,000, 100,000 meters because of a small percentage of fires, but part of it, as I looked into it, was seeing that it was how they were installed, if they weren't installed properly, or if the batch of meters wasn't manufactured to as tight a specs as they needed to be. And that's one of the concerns why I wanted to bring that up. So what you're telling us is the chances of a fire in one of these meters, based on your experience, which is pretty extensive, is going to be very minimal, as long as they're properly installed and the equipment is up to par for what it's supposed to be when it's manufactured.
Correct, and actually the company that installed the AMRs in 2018 is one of the leaders in meter installation in the whole country. So they're out of, I believe it's Idaho. They're in the IBW, and everyone's like a certified meter installer. What you get sometimes in the lower 48 mainly, because Alaska is really union heavy, some people like that, some people don't, but what that comes with is you actually have to go through an apprenticeship and pass a certification in order to perform the job that you're hired to do, right? So journeyman linemen or operator mechanics or whoever, they go through an extensive apprenticeship to get to their journeyman level. And so in 2018, we brought National Meter up, and they installed all of our meters, and I'm not aware of a single meter failure. With the meters we have the same, kind of half the technology that the new ones will have. They still have the radio frequency coming out, but it just talks one way instead of both ways. And so with a two-way communication, we can improve the transparency, but as far as installation goes, it's the exact same installation. You have to check the jaw tension, inspect the meter base, make sure the grounds are in. When it comes to commercial meters, you have to make sure that all the wiring's correct, and then you can properly slam the meter.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. I have actually just a couple more questions on that particular line. Surge protection. That was one of the other issues that was out there as a concern, is that these meters don't have the surge protection that the analog meters or some of the older meters have. Is there any validity to that?
No. So the meter can be programmed to trip out if there's a surge, but in 2018 in the National Electric Code, they actually started requiring surge protectors at the meter base or on the panel. And to this day, I hardly ever see anyone with a surge protector. But with the appliances that we all have in our homes, the flat screen TVs, the refrigerators that have all the, fancy electronics, EV chargers, it would be crazy for you not to have a surge protector wired in at your house, but that's on the wireman side of the meter base. But it's something I'll just throw out there for anyone that's listening. I highly recommend it. When I move into my house, it's the first thing I'll install every time. And you don't see that.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. On the other side of it, personal security. The ability to hack into these, my understanding is that these have the cybersecurity and encryption, that kind of thing. Is that sufficient to keep our grid from getting hacked into through these?
Yep, and that's under the the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission has standards, the National Electric Safety Code has standards, the IEEE has standards, all on cybersecurity. And so all the companies that we've looked at are national companies that you'll see in Los Angeles, Florida, New York City. And so they have an extensive cybersecurity network to make sure that you're not getting hacked.
And I just have one more, Madam Mayor. Thank you. And this is probably more for the administration. Will anybody be able to opt out of getting one of these?
Taylor?
No.
Yeah, no.
So people will not have an option to opt out of one of these new digital
No, because we
meters?
won't be able to accurately have the systems do both at the same time.
Just want to be clear, I looked into it. So I can't buy new dial meters anymore. And so what I can do is you can turn the RF off of the AMI meter, but then the person doesn't know if the RF's actually turned off or not. So then there's still trust issues on whether it's turned off. And so at this point, we went with the RF technology that everyone in Seward already has, instead of the cellular technology. And so at this point, what I'm recommending is that we don't have an opt-out program, but we also don't force anyone to be a customer. So if you want to go with, off-grid power, then that's completely fine with me. Like, I'm not forcing you to buy power from us. But in order to have an opt-out program, then we have to pay a meter reader to go out and, trudge through the snow and the ice and everything to get your read every month. And that's kind of the whole point of the AMIs, is so that we're getting away from having someone out in the field being exposed, and we can make the whole organization more efficient so we can lower everyone's electric bills. And so this is one step that leads into a bunch of other steps to basically get everyone, a lower bill through efficiency.
Thank you for those questions, because I was going to ask some of those very same ones. Councilmember Barnwell.
Yeah, I had a couple. The guy in the yellow, the guy with a pole walking around this week, is he, remember that guy? I mean, it seems like he's going above and beyond what I've seen before. What's he up to?
Yeah, his name's Ruben, so he's from Alaska Remote Imaging. And so that's that other project that you guys, passed probably late summer. And so we're GPSing our entire system to get our maps more accurate.
That's what it is. Go ahead.
Can you help us understand why we're spending $760,000 on metering? Obviously we're gonna get some money back on that because we're not gonna have the meter guy or meter people as often, at least. Efficiency, right? You guys can track this stuff, so it makes your job a little easier, or a lot easier. Can you just give me a rundown for the public of how this helps the system and kind of make us believe it's worth our money?
Yeah, I was hoping you'd ask that. So meters are, they typically have a 20-year depreciation cycle. So the ones that we acquired from Kodiak are now 25 years old. And so anyway, at $800,000, financing at 20 years at like 4.65% interest, that's just some rough numbers. That'll basically, over time, be like $1.23 million over the 20 years of amortizing it. And so that's $1.20 per meter per month. And so meters are something that we're always going to need to be replacing because they don't last forever, right? So that's a really low expense, per everyone's electric bill every month. But then we also need to have accurate revenue collection, which we'll talk about a little bit more on the next resolution that follows this one. But then we also want a reduction in billing errors, reduced truck rolls. So when our cashier, instead of being out reading meters, like that's other tasks that we can have this person doing. And reducing the need for a meter reading vehicle, we can use that for something else. It speeds up our outage restoration. So like today, we had a blink on the recloser. I heard a cutout blow. It's a fuse off of a transformer on a feeder line. So I called the line crew up and got the jacket on. We're driving around town, and it's like, well, Maybe it's on a single transformer that's feeding a house that has a seasonal occupant, because we're not getting any calls. With the new meters, we'll be able to see exactly where the outage is at and respond faster, to that outage. And then improved rate transparency. That's my main goal out of this whole thing, is figuring out our demand charge that we pay with Chugiach, trying to figure out when those system demands are. Are there things that we can do that we can curve our demand that we pay? It's like $16.93 per kilowatt under a power sales agreement. So, you have 8.5 megawatts in the summertime for our peak, and it's $16.93 per kilowatt for that whole thing. So that's a pretty big number. But anyway, so we start looking at, each rate class and how it's affecting that kind of stuff. We can run a program called GridX in the background that's basically performing a never-ending rate study. So right now, if we want to do a rate study, we have to hire an accountant to look into it. Then the other thing is our meter data management program that'll come with other software that we'll talk about in January, but basically all the data comes back from the meter, and so that's coming into our billing, and so we can better understand each rate class, but then it also goes back to your cell phone via an app or on your customer account. So if your bill's going up, you can see it before the bills do, and if there's something that you want to change energy usage wise, you can just make those changes in real time, so then you're not going to get hit with a huge bill at the end of the month. Understanding bills and how behavior affects usage, so that kind of gets into the different things that you run at your house, whether you just bought a hot tub and your bill just tripled or whatnot, you can know exactly what that's coming from. And then I want to start looking at EV rates, heat pump incentives, and time of use rates. And this is an interesting one, and we're trying to navigate the heat pump rate right now just without the data coming in from the meters. But with better data, we can come up with a better rate. Chances are we'll probably come up with something like that before that, but like for EV rates, a lot of utilities are looking at when their demand's the lowest, and then offering an EV charging incentive for those low demand periods. And then time of use, I like to use the example when I was in Fargo at XL. We had 7 cent a kilowatt hour power, and so they looked and they wanted to get their demand down a little bit, so they went to a time of use rate. So if you were in a peak time in the morning, typically when people are getting ready for work, and in the evening when people are getting home from work and cooking dinner, then your rate would go up to 20 cents, but then they dropped the rest of the day to 5 cents. And I thought, oh, that's awesome, but then people lost their minds over that. So, and here we're at sort of a little higher rates.
I would also like to add on the cost structure, we received the meters that we are currently using from Kodiak for free in 2018, and while that was a great gesture and we've gotten 7 quality years out of them, you don't give away high quality products for free. They gave them to us as they moved and transitioned to AMI, and it wasn't going to be a forever thing. It was a transitionary step while we got to that next step. We, like Taylor said, are one of 20% of utilities in the country that still use this technology, and even less probably in the state of Alaska. And so when we look at the history of the meters that we currently have, moving forward and transitioning, they were a good gap to fill that void, so we didn't invest in equipment we weren't ready, excited, and having the manpower to utilize, and now at this point where we can make this future investment and replace this equipment that we received graciously from Kodiak for free in 2018.
Okay, are we ready?
Yeah. Thanks, Deb.
Okay, Mr. Clerk?
Voting on the approval of Resolution 2025-119. Kreitz,
Yes.
Draper,
Yes.
Calhoun,
Yes.
Barnwell,
Yes.
Horner,
Yes.
Osenga,
Yes.
and Mayor McClure.
Yes.
That resolution has been approved.
Okay, we have Resolution 2025-120. When you're ready, Mr. Clerk, could you please read that?
Resolution 2025-120, authorizing the city manager to accept the proposal from National Metering and Technical Services to perform commercial and industrial meter audits in the amount of $37,005 plus a 10% contingency and appropriating funds.
Okay, and you'll find that on page 122. I'd ask for a motion to approve and a second, please.
I'll move for the approval of Resolution 2025-120.
I'll second. Okay, moved and seconded. Administration.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll turn to Taylor to speak to this.
Yep, so just to clarify some confusion on this one, we're not actually auditing the meters themselves. So these are commercial accounts, so you have a current transformer that's mounted in the, or either on a pole or in a transformer that has a ratio to it, so it reduces the current, and that's what flows to the meter. We've recently found a couple of the CTs have had bad windings, and so that messes up the ratio that gets read by the meter. And so digging into this a little bit more, we had National Meter coming up till about 2010, auditing the CTs and making sure the wiring was good. And this is like an industry practice. Every 5 years you should look at every commercial account to make sure the CTs aren't going bad. But it hasn't been done since 2010, and I have a bad feeling like we might have some CTs that are bad. And so by hiring this group, they come in and they bench test all the, like we call them little donuts, but they go on the lugs and just make sure everything's accurate so that, you know, the rate classes are fair and equitable with one another. Everyone's getting billed fairly.
Okay. Questions? Sounds like something we need to do. All right, Mr. Clerk.
Voting on the approval of Resolution 2025-120, Kreitz,
Yes.
Calhoun,
Yes.
Barnwell,
Yes.
Draper,
Yes.
Osenga,
Yes.
Warner,
Yes.
and Mayor McClure.
Yes.
That resolution has been approved.
Okay, now, Resolution
Thank you, Taylor.
25, and thank you, Taylor. Resolution 2025-121. When you're ready, Mr. Clerk.
Resolution 2025-121, establishing childcare as an economic development activity and directing administration to include childcare in economic development planning and strategies.
Okay, and you'll find this on page 130. I'd ask for a motion to approve and a second, please.
I'll move for the approval of Resolution 2025-121.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Administration.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I am available for any questions that may arise, but since this was sponsored by Councilmember Warner, I'll let her speak to it.
Councilmember Warner.
Thank you, Mayor McClure. So I brought this before Council, one, because we do hear a lot from the community that year-round economy and population is important to us. One of the main economic drivers and a good foundation for a strong year-round economy is access to childcare. If families are unable to access childcare, they're unable to go to work, attend AFTEC, further their professional careers. And this brings the city in line with some things that are happening around the state and regional initiatives that recognize early care and learning as a vital infrastructure for a stable and thriving economy. There are a number of reports out there. Mainly, our Seward 2030 comprehensive plan has identified equitable access to education, family well-being, and workforce readiness as one of our core community values. The Kenai Peninsula Economic Development District, in their 2025 State of Economy report, highlights that the borough has gained approximately 200 children between the years of 2019 and 23, while Seward's population has declined by 8.6%. This indicates that young families are leaving our community. That directly impacts our tax base, that impacts our school system, that impacts who's living here year-round. The Alaska Workforce Investment Board also recognizes quality early care and education as essential to workforce readiness, economic stability. Also, the Alaska Governor in 2024 put together the Governor's Task Force on childcare and found that 61% of Alaskan children live in childcare deserts. And Alaska's not lost nearly 10% of its licensed childcare providers since 2020. Another report done by the U.S. Chamber of Commerce Foundation and the Alaska Chamber of Commerce put together a report on child care impact on Alaska's workforce and productivity. In this report, they said that $152 million in employer cost and $13 million in lost revenue due to the lack of available child care. So I brought this before us because I would like to align with some of these things that are happening around the state and regionally, so that way our local government can include childcare in any of these economic development strategies or plans that are most likely going to be coming around. Yes. Okay.
And thank you. Is there any discussion, questions? Ready to vote? Ready to vote.
Voting on the approval of Resolution 2025-121. Calhoun?
Yes.
Barnwell?
Yes.
Kreitz?
Yes.
Warner?
Yes.
Osenga?
Yes.
Draper?
Yes.
And Mayor McClure.
Yes.
That resolution has been approved.
Okay. One more resolution. Resolution 2025-122. When you're ready, Mr. Clerk, could you read that?
Resolution 2025-122, supporting local schools and directing the development of partnerships and collaborations that enhance student learning, civic engagement, and workforce development opportunities.
Okay, and you'll find that on page 136. I ask for a motion to approve and a second, please.
I'll move for the approval of Resolution 2025-122.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Administration.
Administration is available for questions, but since this was sponsored by Councilmember Warner and Councilmember Draper, I'll defer to them for introduction.
Well, you've seen it in the packet. Do either of you want to speak to it?
Yeah, I would like
Okay,
to
Councilmember.
say a few words. When I made my candidate statement, and every time I was speaking publicly when I was running for the seat, I listed this as one of the most important issues that we're facing, that our public education in Seward is in crisis. It's just nothing short of a crisis. And when we hear these numbers of 25 to 35%, I keep hearing different numbers of people that are homeschooling. It's an indictment of what's happening in our bricks and mortar schools. And I think this is a good first step to start aligning with the schools and bolstering up the curriculum that we can offer our kids here, because we deserve better. Our kids deserve better. I think all the people that spoke tonight in favor of it said all the things that I believe, pretty much. Like, we've got no one whose job it is to put these things together for our kids anymore. It used to be somebody's job. I'm not a big believer in AI, but I thought, just for the heck of it, I would take our school class schedule and put it into ChatGPT and say, make me a curriculum for a student to go through school with these classes. And it came back and it said, can't be done. You need 13 teachers. We have 6 full-time teachers at the high school. So, like I said, this is a small first step, but I think it's important.
Councilmember Warner.
Yeah, I think this is a great first step in showing that we as a community value our youth, we value our school, we value our education system here, and we need to bring in all the amazing entities and organizations that we have here in Seward, all those individuals that work at those places, and bring them in front of our youth, provide them with opportunities, exposure, and partnerships. It was brought to my attention today that it's been 5 years since a student at Seward High School has been able to take a health class in person. That will be happening next semester. But I feel that is such a basic thing that we should be learning in high school. I mean, I remember learning it. I had an in-person teacher. I couldn't imagine my child learning about health from an online curriculum in front of a computer. I would rather teach them myself. And I think that goes back to why there's so many people in homeschool And yeah, we just need to come back around, we need to support our education. I'm really happy to see the support that came out for this resolution and to partner with Councilmember Draper on this one. Other than those comments, I do want to make a small amendment to just one of the whereases. It is the second whereas, where this plan, it states, whereas the plan directs the city to support educational opportunities which are enhanced by Seward's physical, geography, and economic activities. I just want to include Kenai Mountain Turnagain Arm Association, KMTA, to this list of other entities that has been put in this whereas. It helps just kind of strengthen some of the things that they're already doing in our community in supporting our youth and outdoor learning, and having their name reflected in this resolution is something that could benefit them in accessing funds and other partnerships, and so that would be my one thing.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
So you'd be putting KMTA, like, say, it says Alaska Sea Life Center, comma, National Park Service, comma, we could put KMTA there, and then US and US Forest Service?
Yes, please.
Would that be specific enough? Okay. Any discussion on that? I know they do a lot of work with the schools, so, okay. Let's vote on the amendment.
Can I
Oh,
just,
excuse me, yeah.
I just speaking to this, I just want to say thank you to.
Councilmember, you can only speak to the amendment for a second.
Voting on the
Okay.
amendment.
Voting on the amendment to add KMTA to the second whereas in that list. Osenga?
Yes.
Warner?
Yes.
Draper?
Yes.
Barnwell?
Yes.
Kreitz?
Yes.
Calhoun?
Yes.
And Mayor McClure?
Yes.
The resolution has been amended, and the main motion as amended is back on the floor.
Okay, Councilmember Barnwell, what you
Yeah.
got?
I have to say, when I first saw this, I wasn't a big fan of this, because I taught for 29 years, and I've been involved in education for 40. And it's a huge part of my life, and I'm very, very passionate about education. And I feel it's what's happened in the state is shameful, to be honest. The lack of funding, and I blame it in part on the public. I think that the public was not informed. It sold itself on culture war and ideology. And I think it's such a common sense thing. Education is fundamental to who we are as a culture, and to who we are as a democracy, to who we are as a town in Seward. I came from Alaska, one of the best schools in the state. I came to Seward, one of the best schools in the state, and I watched this system erode, and it came down to basically silly things. And it's not silly that we don't have money. This state is losing money. But I will sacrifice my PFD even in my senior years if I can ensure that kids have a quality education, or that we're doing everything we can in our means, and I don't think we are doing everything we can in our means to provide for these kids. Back to this, where I went wrong with it is we need to keep our eye on the ball. One position if the city helps for one position in this particular thing, it's not going to change things that much. The eye on the ball really is that we need to look at our state legislators. We need to get a governor and legislators that fully understand how important education is. We have to do that, and that's on us. We're a voter. We have to look at ourselves squarely in the eye and think about this. Homeschool, we have to really have a direct conversation about what's going on here and how it's impacting this community. We really evade that. It's the elephant in the room. We don't talk about it, and it has to be talked about. Homeschool is viable in certain cases, but it can be very destructive on kids. And then the third thing is we need to talk about technology and cell phones. These kids need to get off of these things. We have to do everything we can to make sure these kids are not sitting on these cell phones every day. So that's, for me, I always look big picture, and I'm like, that's the big picture. This isn't the big picture. Having said that, I super appreciate Tara and the others that did this tonight, because I talked to Ms. Willeen on the way out. It's a start. It's something tangible. It's us coming together saying, hey, we have to do something. And the big world is too crazy out there. We can do this. We can start here small and maybe carve out little pieces of it and just do our best. So kudos to you guys for bringing this up, and to the people that testified today. That was great. And I just think this community is great because they understand this. And I just wish the state and the nation would vote as this community sees it. All right, thank you.
Are we ready to, Vice Mayor Osenga?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have a couple of questions that I just would like some clarification on. On background and justification, you have a first sentence which says education is identified as a core community value with the Seward 2030 comprehensive plan, and then it says which calls on the city to ensure that pre-K through post-secondary institutions have the resources and programs needed to provide quality opportunities for children and residents. What does that mean? Exactly. What is this? How are we going to ensure this? Because that sounds almost like we're looking at, is that a position? Are we looking at adding a city employee to this? How would we ensure this?
I want to, sorry.
Go ahead.
Yep, thank you. I want to say that this is a city position. I wouldn't say we would be creating a position within the city. And I think how we would ensure that would just kind of depend on how we as a council would see that fit, see what comes from other community members, public comment. But further down in this same paragraph, it's the last sentence there, by supporting school partnerships, the city helps enhance its long-term vision. So by supporting any of the partnerships that can be developed between the city and our school, that could be through some of the things that is already happening within our city. So I know like the fire department has a youth program that they've been running. I think it's after hours though, it's not during school days. I believe there's been a couple of classes that have come in and done some mock city council meetings to help them learn a little bit more about civic engagement. But by passing this, we're ensuring that pre-K through post-secondary institutions have the resources and programs needed to provide quality opportunities.
Not we as a city, we as a group that's in partnership with everyone else in the community that's going to be part of this is what you're saying.
Yeah, it would be.
Because the way I read it, it says the city, not a partnership. Is the way I read that. That was a clarification I wanted to have brought up. The other one was, Madam Mayor, if you don't mind, in the whereas, when you added the Carey Mountain, the second whereas, it says the plan directs the city to support educational opportunities which are enhanced by Seward's physical geography and economic activities, and encourages collaborations with organizations such as the Seward Community Library Museum, and you list different organizations after that. So the very first part of this is we're directing the city to support educational opportunities. What does that mean? How? Because it says encourages collaboration in the next sentence. So I guess I'm trying to parse what the first sentence is. We're directing the city to support educational opportunities, but then in the next sentence out of that it says, well, we're going to encourage collaboration with these groups.
I mean, that could come in the form of letters of support when any of these individual entities are accessing funding, grant writing, and emphasize community partnerships as a guiding principle. I think I would pull back into what the city's already doing in partnering with our schools to ensure that our students have access to some of our resources that we already have happening here.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, ready to vote? Mr. Clerk?
Okay, final vote for Resolution 2025-122, including the amendment. Osenga?
Yes.
Warner?
Yes.
Calhoun?
Yes.
Bonwell?
Yes.
Kreitz?
Yes.
Draper?
Yes.
And Mayor McClure?
Yes.
That resolution has been approved.
Okay. Other new business. This is the appointing of the new Planning and Zoning Commission member. and we have 3 applicants. We have a voting, what do we call this, sheet?
Paper ballot?
Ballot. Mr. Clerk, could you give us a bit of direction on this, if you would, please?
Most certainly. So in the city code, it says if there's more than one applicant for the position of a P&Z commissioner, the council shall appoint by ballot voting. So each of you have a ballot here. There are 3 names on the ballot: Randy Wells, James Michael Taylor, Andrew Wilder, and the 4th option is to re-advertise the vacancy, which is kind of like saying none of the above. It's just a standard part of these ballots. So once you cast your vote and initial or sign in the corner, you can hand them all down to me. You can fold them up if you like, and then I will read out the results and make a tally.
And would you explain what is required to be, how many votes?
Oh, and the applicant would have to receive at least 4 votes in order to be appointed.
And if that doesn't happen, we would re-vote?
If that does not happen, there's some options.
We
I don't
can
want to get
discuss.
too much into the weeds now.
Okay, we can
but,
discuss if
I mean,
that doesn't happen.
there
Okay.
There could be a
Just so
3-way
people
tie,
know.
there could be top 2 vote getters, and maybe we could, anyway, we'll get there if we have to. I'll hand them down to you for verification. Okay, I do have everyone's ballot, correct?
I believe so.
Okay, 1 for Andrew Wilder. 1 for Randy Wells. 1 for Andrew Wilder. 1 for Andrew Wilder. 1 for Andrew Wilder. 1 for Andrew Wilder. And 1 for Andrew Wilder.
So, the conclusion is, I'll state it or you state it?
So 6 votes for Andrew Wilder. He would be the appointed Planning and Zoning Commissioner for the term set to expire February 2027.
Okay, congratulations, Andrew. And Mr. Clerk, could you tell him when his first meeting's going to be?
Well, as a matter of fact, tomorrow night, 5:30 is a P&Z special meeting, followed by a work session at 6 p.m. And the special meeting is to select a chair and vice chair, just to get the commission through March of 2026, and then they'll do their annual chair, vice chair selection.
Okay, congratulations, and you guys can talk about how there's a swearing-in process and all of that, so.
You do get $100 a month.
Oh, yeah, anyway, thank you for all that. Next, a discussion item on finance reports, content, format, and frequency. And how do we want to go about that?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So at our last meeting, we presented to you the Q3, quarter 3 annual report of our budgetary documents, and I'll invite Suli up if she wants to come help speak to this or field any questions. But we also presented as a laydown tonight a reworking of those financial reports from the last meeting with some input that we received from Councilmember Draper after bringing up this discussion item at the last meeting. So we wanted to present that to you. I think we have some by code things that we must present every quarter, but also recognizing that looking at a big spreadsheet of numbers can be overwhelming. So we wanted to find a really good balance of informative, transparent, and easy to understand, and kind of work with council as a body to see what you appreciate when you're looking at the financial documents. I think one of the fun things that we had already teased out potentially doing, if you all would like, is including an Excel spreadsheet that's locked and a QR code or a link to it, so that while you're studying the packet, or while the public's studying the packet, they can be a little bit more in-depth instead of just looking at a PDF file. We can't print out an Excel spreadsheet because that's a PDF file, but having that link available online in a locked format is something that we are exploring as well. But mostly just a discussion of what you would like us to do so that we present you with the most robust and desired information.
Okay. Discuss. I'm one of the kind of people, I'll look at whatever it is and figure it out, so I don't have a method I prefer. Vice Mayor Sinkus.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I also don't have a preferred method. I will just kind of dig through what I get.
But if someone comes up with something better, so do you want to speak to what you want to be saying?
Well, I had a great meeting with Suli. It was really great getting to know her. But a couple of things that I really was missing, because I was always having to do the math myself, is what's the dollar amount we're varying from our budget and from our last year actual? What's the dollar amount? And what's the percentage? The percentage is on there, not the dollar amount from last year. I would ask for that to also be included. But those are, to me, I was doing the math myself, but for it to be there for you, like, first thing that jumps out at me on the very first page of what you provided was like, holy cow, our sales tax revenue, our tax revenue is down $1.6 million from year over year. Like, what the heck, how'd that happen? And it looks like we budgeted for that to happen, so, those are the kind of questions I'm not gonna ask you to answer those on the spot, but, I got these about 3 o'clock today, so I didn't have time to look at it in depth, but, I don't know, I like already the new format, and those changes, I would ask to have the dollar amount of variance from the same period last year, from the actuals added, even though it's already a lot of columns. I don't know, what else can I say about this? I just wanted to give a gold star to whoever took care of parking last year when I was looking at the parking revenue. Did anybody look at that? Holy cow. They really had a very large positive variance in parking. Anyway, just thanks, Lee, for, being willing to vary from the norm. But what I first brought to her was a separate sheet on each enterprise fund, like, can you do this? And it would have the whole snapshot of each enterprise on one page, but she wasn't comfortable putting the balance sheet and the P&L on the same page, and that would have probably been a lot more manipulating for her to do. Thank you.
So yes, part of this discussion is more just to feed you guys in a little bit of history, is to present the resolution 2008-059, which states at chapter 6.4B that the finance department shall prepare annual and quarterly report reflecting revenue and expenditure. So in base of that resolution, I was preparing these reports to council. And it's not until now that we have this kind of discussion, which I appreciate, to fit in your request about it. If you see on those reports that I provided you today, it has the column with percentage for prior years, year-to-date variance, as well the prior year actuals within the quarterly actuals, as well the all budget utilization percentage, which is including all the amended budget during the year, which represent all of the resolutions included during the year. And in the bottom, I included a list of resolutions that you guys are approving through the year as well. So if anyone has any kind of questions?
Great.
Councilmember Barnard.
I really like the resolution tracking what kind of decisions we made and what kind of impact it has on the budget. It's great.
That's good.
Yeah, and like Sulie mentioned, this all stemmed from a resolution that council passed in 2008, and we've been pretty much just doing it the same way ever since. Always good, even if we don't want to overhaul and just add a few more columns, just to do a gut check and make sure we're all still doing what you would like as a body to see. So I really appreciate Sulie putting the time and effort into it. If there's other thoughts, it also doesn't always have to be a discussion item, but we figured it was a good time. Like I said earlier, I love New Year's resolutions, so setting us up for success in 2026.
Other input? Like I say, I just look at whatever's there and figure it out, so
Great.
I'm not a good spokesperson for this.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thanks, Sulie.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, and, wow. That brings us to letting you know when our next meeting is, January 12th, and citizen comments. And so this is the time where you can have up to 5 minutes if you want to speak on any topic. And you just raise your hand. And I call you, just like that. And it's the same deal, your name and inside or outside city limits, please.
Tara Swanson, outside city limits. I just want to take some time and say thank you for your support of the resolutions tonight. I know that it is the first of many steps, but I know that we all come from different places, like looking across the council and different paths of life, but with this resolution, we're taking the choice and we're affirming and acknowledging that we're prioritizing education and learning excellence in our community, and I think that's really important. Because you don't have to like kids, or even really like school, or even be a fan of education to know that you do want industry, you do want to be taken care of when you're older, and you want to be able to go to the store and have people working there, and you want to go to the library. And these are all things that are filled with future adults, and those people are known as kids. The learning crisis is directly tied to the workforce crisis. So we really look forward to talking more about creative solutions, about how to improve learning opportunities and learning excellence in our community. I think that, yes, this is a first step, but it's a first step in a really important process. Yeah, thank you, and we look forward to working with you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Just, or come on up. Yeah.
I'm Sarah Tugas. I'm inside city limits. I just want to thank everybody for being here tonight. All good things, electrical, education. Mr. Wilder, I kind of owe him an apology because I did corner him at the swim meet on December 6th and say, you need to apply for planning and zoning. So, some things I do want to tell from that swim meet, which is really good, fun news for our kids, because I am the president of the Tsunami Swim Club Board now, is we had, just for the community to know, 108 swimmers. There was 4 teams. We had over 35 volunteers. 79 best times, and 15 athletes qualified for age group champs, and there was 25 new swims, which means they swam an event for the first time. So I just wanted to share that with you and tell Mr. Wilder congratulations, and I totally cornered him and was like, you gotta do this, you'd be great, and I'm happy his daughter is back on the swim team. So thank you guys, and thank you all for being here.
Thank you. Anyone else? Is there still anyone in the hallway, by the way? Can somebody check, please? And you, Amanda, were you the next? Yeah, come on up. Nobody out there? Okay. I just want to make sure we're not sliding anyone.
Hi, Amanda Sweeting, outside city limits. Sorry, I just want to talk about one fast thing. Christmas light competition. December 18th, you still have time. Providence is sponsoring. We have residential and commercial. You can win $250 gift card to a local business of your choosing. And you can break it up like $100 Res Art and like, $50 Supalux, or, so. Yeah, so it also supports small business, so please, and then we'll publish a map so you can do a little driving tour of our amazing Christmas lights. So, yeah, thank you so much.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, they'll bring it back for council and administration comments and responses to citizen comments, and we'll start with the city manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I want to thank staff, Taylor and Suli, and anyone else who may have come up tonight to speak. It's always fun to hear them talk through these big projects that they've been working on as well. And I think I wrote down 7 different times in my notebook to remind myself to sign up for the lights competition. So I will do it tomorrow if I can inflate my kangaroo in the wind, but we'll see.
There was talk that the kangaroo ended up in the bay, but apparently it was just...
It was in the alley. We found it, yeah.
I saw it deflated in your yard.
But it's not the weather to inflate a large Christmas kangaroo right now.
And you might wonder why a kangaroo, but that's a whole other thing.
It was on sale at Costco.
Mr. Bickling, did you have anything?
No comments, thank you.
Okay, I'm going to start with Councilmember Calhoun.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a couple of things. One thing I'll start off with, passing the education support resolution. It's a good thing. One thing I want to make sure is that all of you out there that homeschool your kids do not feel slighted by that. It was not a knock on what you're doing. I think the COVID era showed all of us a lot about what was going on in our education system, and that's why a lot more parents started to homeschool their kids. So please do not feel like you're being slighted in this conversation at all, because at least from my standpoint, I think homeschooling is a very important option that we have. Beyond that, the American Legion Auxiliary Unit 5 had their day with Santa on Saturday, last Saturday. If you all got your kids or grandkids there, it was great. They had over 100 children come through and get presents from Santa and hot chocolate, and we sugared them all up and sent them back home, which I'm sure the parents appreciated greatly. The fire department was great on that. It was cold, it was windy. The city manager opted out of the ride on the fire truck.
It was cold and windy.
And they couldn't take all the kids on the trucks like they usually do because it was just too cold. But they did take a lot of kids around in the truck 3 or 4 different times, and we really appreciate the fire department being willing to do that. That was great. And the other thing, I'll remind everybody, Christmas is next week. And the Legion will be holding their community meal like they did for Thanksgiving. They do the same thing for Christmas from 1:30 to 4:30. Anybody in the community can come get a hot meal. And for those people that can't get out, are homebound, or have a health issue or whatever, we do also deliver meals out to the community. And so let us know if there's somebody in that situation that needs a meal delivered to their home.
I have a question on that for you. Are you taking volunteers for the delivery?
We will take volunteers for all of it, but...
Or any of it?
For any of it, get a hold of us, because we have a lot of people that volunteer for those.
Okay.
But you never really know.
Okay.
And so if you're interested in volunteering, just give the Legion a call, 224-5440, and leave your name and phone number if you're interested in volunteering. We're always looking for help with stuff like that.
Super.
I appreciate that, Mayor. Thanks.
Yeah. Okay, Councilmember Draper.
It was great to see all the citizens out tonight and giving their comments, democracy in action. I got to attend the AML online for a whole day and then 2 days in person. It was great. I learned a lot. Got scared a little bit about the daunting responsibilities and ways you can slip up. I learned that we need to have 2 meetings a month tonight because a lot got stacked into this one. I did want to mention in regard to Tim McDonald's comment about the bus is running. They're doing it as a nonprofit now, I guess, in the winter. So they do have a schedule, they have a flyer. And we already had our breakfast with Santa, which then led right into and that was probably the same 100 kids, because we had about 100 kids too. And that was a great success, as usual. And guess we won't be meeting again until after Christmas, so Merry Christmas to everybody.
Thank you. Councilmember Warner.
Thank you, Mayor McClure. Thank you, Councilmember Draper, for bringing up Seward City Tours, because I have seen that advertised in the community And I think that's an amazing service that's being offered by their Seward City Tours nonprofit arm. I'm just wondering what we can do to help push out that flyer. Where has it been advertised, and what are we missing in getting that out to the community? I also want to give a big shout out to the Seward Library. Probably one of my favorite city departments. They held a murder mystery kind of play for some youth about who stole Santa's Christmas presents. They held that last weekend, I believe, at the Teen Center. My kids attended. They had a blast. So just kudos to the library for continuing to engage our youth and do some fun events for them. Also at the library, I used their little hush booth for like a meeting that was prompted while I was at the library, and I was like, oh, I don't want to work at my home office anymore. I'm going to come here and like look at the bay. So it's super awesome that those are available. And yeah, Merry Christmas. Kids are going to be out for break. So Friday is the last day of school before winter break. So just keep an eye out for those kids during the day. If the wind calms down, they'll probably hopefully be outside playing and engaging with our community. So thank you.
Councilmember Kreitz.
I'd like to thank everyone that spoke this evening. And I'd like to thank Taylor and the electric department again. Seems like they're doing a lot of things to really bring the electric department up to the 21st century and kind of bringing transparency and hopefully bringing down our rates here soon. So thank you. And I want to thank Cassie and Lori Warner and Draper for the resolution on education. You brought up the Fire Department Explorer program, and I thought that was wonderful because that program was brought forward by Tyler Mallory for that reason. It's one of the things that he has, a lot of the firefighters that came up in volunteer fire services participated in that program when they were young. And it's for 14 to 17-year-olds, and it introduces them to firefighting and the EMT career. And in that program, they're able to learn how to be a firefighter, and they can get certified as a firefighter and take that test when they turn 18. They also can get certified at the age that they're in from 14 to 17 as an emergency trauma technician, and they also get high school credit for taking that course. So that's in addition to that. And they can participate in EMT courses and actually sit for their EMT when they turn 18 as well. So we have had some of those explorers that have gone on to pursue that career when they graduated high school. And we actually have one of our young ladies that graduated. She's now going to be going to paramedic school. So it's definitely a segue into an actual career for these people. So it's a great program.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Councilmember Barnwell.
Well, I don't have a lot to say, but I will say a couple. Julie, thanks. That was great that you brought that up, because that's exactly what this whole thing's about, right? Is having these discussions as hard as they can be. I mean, you know, Mr. Collins and I probably differ on a few things, as we always have, but we can talk and figure out some sort of compromise, you know. And I think part of my experience in the school system, I would admit that the schools didn't always listen to parents and the community, and that there needs to be give and take. We need to understand that. So hopefully we can get it better, you know, from what it is now. So otherwise, thanks to the people that came out today, and congratulations to Andy Wilder. You're gonna all buy us a beer maybe later for the $100. All right, that's it.
Okay, Vice Mayor Singer.
Let's just start off, thanks to Amanda for the Chamber of Commerce presentation. That was pretty informative. Congratulations, Andrew Wilder, and thank you to Mike Taylor and Randy Wells for stepping up for Planning and Zoning Commission. But again, congratulations, Andrew. I'd like to say thank you to Councilmember Warner for the resolution as far as regarding childcare. I think that is a very important topic, as well as the topic of education. Thank you to Councilmember Draper and Councilmember Warner for bringing that up. That was another topic that is also very important. I just say Merry Christmas, and everyone have a Happy New Year.
Okay. Well, I'll echo a lot of what everyone else said, but I do have to I was asked by a member of the public to state a correction to her statement earlier as to who passed away. It was Barbara Dickraff, not Shirley Dickraff. Okay, and I realized that, but we're not supposed to dialogue when people are speaking, so she caught me, and that is very sad. I just wanted to correct that. As the city manager mentioned, I was up at AML. I wasn't at the conference. I was just there for the Conference of Mayors, where all of the mayors from the state, and there's a lot of us, get together and we do mayor stuff. And it's pretty cool. And there were a lot of interesting presentations. And as it turns out, Councilmember Draper had a free day, so she sat through it all with me on that day after her newly elected officers. So we had a nice time together, and I appreciate being sent. I just stayed one night to do that. And what else do I have to say? Yeah, congratulations to our new planning and zoning member. I think you'll have a lot of fun with that. I watch it with my cat. I watch all the meetings, so I'll be watching you. And I'm a survivor of a whole lot of music this past week. My hands are sore if you see me doing this, but we had the community choir concert and a big multi-church Advent service last night. It's the holidays, you know, so I want to wish everybody a festive and fun holiday and a Merry Christmas. Is there anything else? Okay, we will be going into executive session. We actually have two, and what we're going to do is go into the first one, come back out, and then go into the next one. Do we want to take a quick break before we begin that process? No? I think we're ready. So, other than the people who are going to be in the executive session, which is us, and the attorneys.
And one other attorney that I'm going to go.
Oh, and we're getting another attorney. Wow. A plethora of attorneys come in. And that's a collective term for attorneys, plethora. And city manager, assistant?
A city manager and assistant city manager, yes.
And
no representatives from the clerk's office.
okay, so those are the people who will stay, and we gotta kind of shoo everybody else out. I'm sorry, but thank you so much for attending. And then, as soon as it's a little quieter, I will get us into that.
Is there a 30-second break?
We have a little break.
Do you want to do a 5-minute break while the room?
Well, they were shaking
Yeah,
the
okay.
fence. We talk. Thank you for coming. Okay. So, you can have the fancy red chair if you want, Mr. New Attorney. No. We're still being filmed right now. Okay, so I would ask for, let's see, how do we do this? Ask for a motion, right? So I'd ask for a motion to go into executive session to discuss with the city attorney the facts and litigation strategies regarding Sayler versus City. I can't read what I said there. 3SW-2/00057CI, employment. And
Oh, yeah, you can leave the door open for
We
just
haven't
a
gone into
second.
executive session
Yeah,
yet, yeah.
I'm still trying to get there. I'd ask for a motion to go into executive session for that, and a second, please.
I'll make the motion to go into executive session for the reasons stated.
A second?
I'll second.
Okay, and do we vote on that before we go in? It's been a while.
Yes, we do, technically.
Okay,
We
Mr.
should
Clerk.
vote on this.
We do that.
Okay, voting to go into executive session for the reasons stated regarding Sayler versus City. Calhoun?
Yes.
Osenga?
Yes.
Warner?
Yes.
Draper?
Yes.
Barnwell?
Yes.
Kreitz?
Yes.
And Mayor McClure?
Yes.
That motion has passed. You will be going into executive session.
Okay.
And I will turn off the mics right now.
Okay, do I
So we are back on the air, 10:12.
Okay, I'm going to bring us back as a council. It is 10:12. We had a discussion with our attorney, and that's concluded. And we're going to take a 5-minute break, and then we will go into our second executive session. So we'll be on a break now for 5 minutes.
So now it's 10:17.
We're on?
You're back on the air.
Okay. I'll bring the council back to order. It is now 10:17. I move to go into executive session to discuss with the city attorney the facts and litigation strategies regarding Afognak Construction and Excavating, Inc., related to subdivision public improvements at Forest Acres and Forest Acres Afognak Addition, a potential code enforcement action, and I'd ask for a motion and a second, please.
I'll make the motion to go into executive session for the reason as stated.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Mr. Clerk, we vote on that?
Voting to go into executive session number 2 for the reason stated. Kreitz,
Yes.
Warner,
Yes.
Calhoun,
Yes.
Osenga,
Yes.
Draper,
Yes.
Barnwell,
Yes.
and Mayor McClure.
Yes.
Okay, that motion is passed.
Okay, and we're going to, into executive session with the people that are here now, actually, except for the clerk who will, or do we want the clerk?
No need.
No, yeah, no need, Chris.
Okay, you can go again.
All right, now I'm just going to turn off the mic. 10:39, back on the air.
Okay, I'll bring council back. It's 10:38 by that clock. And we've had a discussion with our attorney, and we've finished the discussion. And now I'm going to finally adjourn the meeting at 10:39.